Thank you for tuning in. We are elated to have you here. Join us for this discussion on transforming fee management with a unified payment cloud. My name is Lokesh, and I oversee business at Calexo. I believe in solving for the customer. Alongside me, I have Preetham, who's the product manager at Calexo. And how many of you already have a fees payment cloud implemented at your campuses? Great, great, great. That's an impressive number. But when I say a fee payment cloud, it's not just a payment tunnel, right? Or not just any payment orchestrator, but it has to be an entire end-to-end solution which takes care of everything, right? From configurations to reconciliations. Up next, we have a second question. Now that you have answered that you are having a system in place, just to make sure that that system is not an Excel sheet automated with formulas, may you please help me understand how many of you are using Excel sheets to manage your entire fees collections process? Again, we'll be closing this in a couple of seconds. Yeah, we see more voters here. Thank you everyone for participating and answering this. So basis all these answers that we have got, I understand that you might be having certain solutions for managing the entire fees collection processes at your campuses. But we have been working in the education industry for a very long time, right? And I have Mr. Manish and Preetham alongside me, who better will be able to tell you about the day-to-day challenges that educational institutions face. So Preetham, there are certain pointers listed on the screen. Can you help me understand if you resonate with any of the pointers listed here, or maybe in any of the conversations that you had with educational institutions? Does anything like this come up very often?
Yeah, so whenever we interact with our clients, we always see that there will be always will be an adrenaline rush at the last moment to collect payments on time. Then at once they have collected the payments, there will be always be last minute rush to close the admissions or close the cycle of fee collection, and they will be going through lot of suspense transactions that are there which have not been reconciled yet, right? And some people will be running around to manage the how to remind or how to follow up students on collecting fees, right? And some will be rallying across to reconcile the payments or creating different reports for their management, because every stakeholder has different set of things that they want to see, right? So each of them would have a different set of requirements for reports, and people will be spending a lot of time developing those reports time and again.
So thank you, Preetham, for that. Here, as you can see, 5 problems listed on the screen. So is there a L'Oreal to that? 5 problems, 1 solution. Is there a unified platform that can help you solve all these problems? So Manish, do you think, can we do this using a unified platform? Is there any platform in the market?
Yes, you might consider Colexo as a one of the solutions for all these problems.
Yeah. So as Manish just pondered upon the fact that Calexo is a solution that makes your collections easier, faster, and secure, let me throw some light on what exactly Calexo does. I'll start with the background. Calexo comes from the house of NoPaperForms, and we have been in the business for almost 8 years now. And if you look at the management, we have a collective experience of over 60 years communicating with the top stakeholders in the education industry. We have been interviewing the clients every now and then, and basis the feedbacks, we have accumulated all the problem statements related to fees collections and management. Fees collection might look roses from outside, but again, it is a segment that needs to be looked into. The problems that Preetham was talking about, reconciliation, suspense entries, everything. So it creates a very big of a hassle. So how do we solve that? Here, as we uncover the magic of Calexo, I'm elated to tell you about what Calexo is. Calexo is an end-to-end fees collection and management cloud. And it's just not a platform. It is a comprehensive 360-degree solution which solves everything for you. Right from the time a candidate enters the system to the time they exit your system. right? All the fees collection can be taken care of on Calexo, right from the part where you have to configure fees for the candidates or allow the candidates to pay from any touch point using any instrument. And once the payment is done, how do you track all those payments is also consolidated on the platform. Additionally, the system boasts of robust reporting engines, right? When it comes to finance teams, they would want to view which student has made what transaction against what UTR. So these kind of reports can also be generated from the system. And once the student has paid, they want to get acknowledged, right? So how do you acknowledge the students once they have made the fee payment? By generating automated receipts. And finally, we also send out automated reminders so that you collect your fees on time. It eventually enhances the time to cash. So right from solving the operational challenges to the scalable challenges, when I say scalability, your students, multiple students might be transacting at the same time. So how do we make sure that all your transactions go through? So the system is flexible enough and scalable enough to handle multiple transactions in one go. And finally, the most important, security. Your data is safe and secure with us. So in the next slide, as we move further, Manish, I already spoken about what a unified payment cloud does, right? And we also touch based upon a couple of challenges that educational institutes have been facing. So here, I would want you to throw light on what exactly are those challenges, and maybe if you could cover all of them, whatever we have come across till date, and how Calexo can help the institutions to streamline their operations to solve those challenges.
Yeah, Lokesh, thanks. So before deep diving into the solutions or key features of a unified education payment cloud, let's understand the challenges being faced by the educational institutions where the traditional fee collection is being used right now. So one of the challenges is the broken payment process. So payments are received from different sources, like through cash, DD. Some students are paying directly into the bank account. Some students are paying through credit card, debit card. So there is a no single view of consolidated dashboard in a real time.
Right.
Secondly, the payment behavior of a student in our country is to pay the fees on due dates, which results in a large amount of funds is lying in the bank account as a suspense transactions. And finance team is struggling in manual reconciliation. So you can say due to the delayed reconciliation, payment status are not updated in real time. And meanwhile, admission team is also taking a follow-up from the students who had already paid. That also creates a bad user experience for them. So thirdly, there is a no timely communication is sent to the students for their upcoming payments or overdues, etc. So Pritham, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, so along with the points that you have mentioned, right? So what we also see is a lot of manual work is happening in this segment in silos, right? So every department will be involved and working in silos, which leads to a lot of errors and inefficiencies also. And since this is the payment collection itself is complex, and since people are managing it manually, it requires a lot of efforts from the institute size to uh, do this entire exercise. And this entire exercise happens every month or every semester or every quarter, depending on the type of institute they are, right? So which increases the operational cost.
Perfect. Fair enough. Fair enough,
Right.
Manish and Preetham.
So
Yeah.
to overcome these challenges, as the Lokesh previously mentioned, that we have built a unified payment cloud that's Calexo. So let's discuss its key features.
Yeah.
So
So, Manish, before we
yeah.
get into the feature segment, I wanted to address there are certain advocates here. They have some questions. So you may feel free to post all your questions, whatever you have. And as we move towards the end of this session, we'll be taking all your questions. No answer, no question will be unanswered. Thank you. Thank you for cooperating
Yeah.
here.
Yes. So let's discuss the key features. So you get the real-time consolidated view of all the payments. 360-degree finance tracking. Your business team, finance team will get a core insights and reports at a centralized place to
Right.
stay updated at all the time. So you can also create extensive workflows and logics based on the fee configurations. And you can say multiple routing in different bank accounts, like the hostel fee in one account, tuition fee in another account, security deposit in another account. You can also send the automatic communications and notifications to the students for their upcoming payments, overdues, regarding the acknowledgements, payment acknowledgements on all possible communication channels like WhatsApp, email, SMS. Transactions are also mapped in a real-time basis to provide you a settlement report that will simplify the reconciliation process at the finance end. Also, for the business perspective, you will get a single view of payment ledger so that you can forecast the revenue in the upcoming months for the better business planning. You can also send the payment links, calculate late fees, taxes, GST, surcharges automatically. Last but not least, it is also pre-integrated with the Meritto enrollment cloud to make the process, admission process easier and smoother.
So Manishji, that's a lot of features and solutions that you are providing. But now let me get into an educational institution's feet, right? So,
Yes, yes.
so we have been collecting fees for a very long time. We have been in the business for a very long time. And if you look at our processes, it is not just about fees collection, right? There are several components to the admissions that we take, right? Once the student enters our campus, there will be a lot of things that we would need to do around that student, right? Right from nurturing to configuring fees to taking attendance, delivering courses. So everything that happens on a single platform for us, right? There are several other vendors in the market who are doing these ERPs, right? So on our ERP, we already are doing all of these things. How different is Calexo from an ERP or maybe a payment aggregator who allows us to collect payments? So
Yes.
if
So,
you take
Pritham, would you like to address this question?
Yeah, sure. So I think what we are different is we manage end to end of the payment cycle, right? So starting from let's say how to collect, right? How much to collect and from whom to collect.
okay.
And after getting the payment, right? So to understand from where I got the payment, reconcile it properly, and then have a understanding of total collections and maybe predict how much I would be getting in upcoming months or upcoming quarter, right? We manage this end to end. I don't believe any other platform in the market has this entire solution in a single place. So
Okay.
that's how we are different.
So we already have a fees collection module on our ERP. Why should I bring the fees collection out of my ERP?
Yeah. So in the normal ERPs, right? Fee collection is a module in that specific ERP. And how we are different is we are purpose built for this payment only, right? So we solve very deep use cases for payments, while for a ERP is just a module and just a checkbox. Uh, and also how we are different is uh, in the ERP, there might be certain dashboards or analytics or reconciliation you won't get in normal ERPs. However, we have those, and we are not asking you to shift away from your ERP. You can manage your existing students or manage your attendance or other things that are part of the ERP, right? But when you shift to Calexo for the payments, we have APIs where we can integrate with any ERP seamlessly. What you get is you get on top of your finances, on top of your payments, where you don't have to worry about your payments.
Understood. Understood. Thank you, Preetham, for this. So before we proceed, we have certain queries, and Mr. Sukhwinder Sandhu has asked for a demonstration. Sir, we surely will have somebody from our team reach out to you. We have taken a note of all your credentials, and we surely will reach out to you and give you the demonstration how we can help you with fees collection and management. Now that was a interesting answer. That was an interesting answer from Preetham. I also have some inputs here. How are we different from an ERP, and why consider Calexo over an ERP? So as Preetham correctly said, that an ERP has a very broad mandate to it, right? When it comes to an ERP, it takes care of multiple things, be it enrollments or attendance, HRMS or payroll management. It does everything, right? But in that realm, you can see fees collection being ignored, right? Because I'll give you an example. Suppose mid-session, I, as an institute or an educational higher ed institution, I want to introduce a new fees. So think of the pain that the administrators will have to go through, right? Try to understand the process here. The first step would be identifying what needs to be integrated. Second, how it needs to be done. So we'll float the requirement to the vendor, right? They will do the requirement analysis and everything, and then they will give you a timeline basis the software development life cycle, because that is going to be a feature addition for them, right? So that will take a whole lot of a sprint. Right now, those timelines, now you are to collect currently, right? Either you collect offline or you go via the ERP, right? So the time required to build that functionality will be more than expected time, right? But with Calexo, what happens is Calexo is a no-code solution, right? It is very easy to operate. You can create business rules, logics. You can introduce any new feature at any given point in time, right? And it is as easy as operating on a mobile phone, right? You give mobile phone to anyone, they'll just figure it out, how to open an application, how to download, how to create a video, right? Similarly on Calexo, they can create workflows, they can create fees, they activate fees, add students, everything can be done on Calexo. So unlike the other platforms where technical integrations would be required, technical knowledge would be required, Calexo actually gives you the power of curating and deploying yourself. So that's on this question from my part. Moving further, so Manishji, as you already spoken about what our administrators will get from this, right? But there is a very critical component, or I would say stakeholder involved in fees collection, and who's the pay, right? So what do the students and parents get out of this platform? How would you ease their lives when it comes to fees collections?
Yes, Lokesh. So if we let's talk about the payment experience for the students and parents. So students and parents can pay via multiple payment modes,
Mhm.
be it credit card, debit card, net banking, UPI, wallets. Second, students and parents can access their previous old transactions, download payment receipts, view outstanding payment balance, can track the payments in real time. And students and parents also need not to worry about the missed deadlines and late fee penalties, as they will get the timely reminders from the system, from the different communication channels like email, WhatsApp, SMS. And there is a seamless experience from the parents and students perspective. Only you'll have to just put in your mobile number and then OTP. So no need to bother about remembering the passwords each time. So I think this is a seamless experience for the students and parents.
Sure. So, Manish, before I continue with this, I have a very interesting question from Miss Anjali. So, Miss Anjali, we have recorded your questions. Stay tuned till the end of this webinar, and we surely will be answering all your queries, and I'll make it very clear for you how are we different from other systems. So, I'll take this up in detail, and yeah, stay tuned. So, Manishji, as you spoke about all these functionalities that the parents and students are getting, that their lives will be easier, they'll be able to pay from one touch point, access all their backdated payments, download receipts at any given point in time. And it so might happen that the institute might not have recorded their payment. So they can go and challenge the institution with those backdated transactions that they have recorded on the Calexo cloud. So
Yes.
here I have a very interesting question. It was there in the previous slide as well. You were talking about sending out automated reminders, right? So we already have a telephony vendor, right? And we also have a communication service provider working with us who actually gives us all these APIs, SMSs, WhatsApp. So we have our own business APIs. We send out communication, and it is customized, tailored communication that we send out to the candidates. How is Kalexo any different?
So let me address that. So normally what happens is when you integrate with telephony vendor, since you don't have real-time idea of how much is pending or who has paid, right? So you don't have a clear thing to communicate, right? So what you do is, in that case, you send out a generalized reminder, right? Let's say your fees is 10,000. You send out a general reminder that, hey, your upcoming fees due date is this, and your due amount is this, 10,000 rupees. So please pay before the due date, and ignore if already paid. Right. So this sentence, right? Ignore if already paid. In this era, this doesn't sound right, right? You need to know exactly who has paid and how much is the due amount. So with Kalexo, what you can do is you can send customized reminder for each student. So let's say for a student who has already paid 4,000, the reminder will go that you need to pay 6,000 and you have, this is your due date, right? And for the student who has already paid, you don't have to send a reminder since he has already paid, right? So that's how Kalexo is different from any normal telephony or SMS vendor that you partner with.
Thank you, Preetham, for that. So that was a pretty interesting answer, right? Not now on those lines, since I'm asking you on module basis, we have got a very interesting question. So if you look at this question from an anonymous attendee, so they're asking how is Kalexo different from any other platform? I I personally would like to take this up and feel free to add on.
Yeah, so I would like to say that there are a lot of modules basis how we are different, right? So we have to list out features as a feature set to distinguish ourselves, right? Because there are so much in the fee collection that goes through or that happens in the entire cycle, starting from how you configure the fees, right? So is it, I think we'll cover that in upcoming slides where we go different frequently asked questions that we get from our clients, and maybe that will help them to differentiate how Kalexo is different from other platforms.
No, so we surely will do that. But to sum this up, I'll quickly give them a brief on how exactly Kalexo is different from other platforms. I'll start with the very basics. Number one, vertical specific approach, right? Industry specific approach, right? If you look at any other finance platforms or collection platforms, they don't actually do it vertically. They're horizontal platforms, right? They work across industries.
So I think you have to explain what a vertically based platform and horizontally based platform.
I was coming to. So any horizontal product or service is where they cater multiple industries at the same time, right? Let's take an XYZ CRM, right? They cater to manufacturing, they cater to education, they cater to healthcare, right? Now their modules will be very standard, right? Now what happens there is customization is limited, right? But when it comes to Kalexo, we only work with the education sector, and we have solved very deep use cases here, right? As you were mentioning, configuration in itself is a pool of problems, right? If you look at different institutions, they would have different fee structures, different scholarship structures, or different discount structures, or maybe several institutes can have students with variable due dates or variable amounts to be paid, right? Now how do you solve this problem? What kind of business logics would you need to put in to solve this particular problem? So this is where the first USP of Kalexo comes in: configuration, right? If you look at any other system, they will allow you to collect payments. They will tell you that just specify the amount and we'll collect the amount for you and give you the data relayed back. That this
Just
amount.
like payment gateway.
Exactly. Now here what happens is, specifically those candidates will be seeing that fees that you have configured against them basis the logic or business rule that is being hit. Number one, now once any student pays, irrespective of any login that they might be using, उनके चाचा ने पे कर दिया, मामा ने पे कर दिया, but there is a unique identifier here, that is the student USN, or you may call it enrollment, registration, application, whatever you call it in your institute. right? Now, once any relative or the student or the parent pays, the student's profile will get updated. You'll have records that this particular student has paid. Now, the most powerful tool that we have, the payment ledger, right, will reflect that Preetham had to pay 1 lakh rupees and we have got this transaction from Preetham. Now the total payable against Preetham is 70,000 rupees. So here you are doing nothing is happening manually. You just have configured the fees for Preetham. Now whatever Preetham pays will be reflected in the history. You can track everything against Preetham. Now there is another component to this. How does your finance team identify कि मेरे बैंक अकाउंट में पैसा आ गया कि नहीं आया, right? So for that, rather than going to the payment gateways console, what we do for you is we give you integrated settlement reports, right? So here you are not going to multiple systems. Think of Calexo as an aggregator. Yes, we are an aggregator, right? Think of Calexo as a unifier. We are a unifier. So here we have multiple payment gateways associated with us, and you won't have to tie up with multiple payment gateways if at all you want to use many of them. That is also a differentiator, right? You won't have to sign multiple LOIs or MOUs. So all your business use cases are solved here. Additionally, your finance team, they won't have to reconcile multiple data sets कि आज एक टीम ने एक एक्सेल डाउनलोड कर लिया, दूसरी टीम ने दूसरा एक्सेल डाउनलोड कर लिया, फिर हम लोगों ने VLOOKUP लगा लिया, फिर हमने पिवट लगा लिया. So that is not going to happen here, right? Imagine कि with just a click और अपने बैंक MIS को साइड में रख दो, you get to know where has the payment come from, right? All those suspense entries that we are talking about कि ये पैसा आया कहाँ से, who's the claimant. It might so happen कि भाई एक पेमेंट मेरा हुआ and there are multiple claimants to that as well. कि UTR XYZ के अंदर I have received 70,000 rupees and multiple children can come to me and claim those 70,000 rupees कि ये तो मैंने पे किया था, ये तो मैंने पे किया था. But the system here tells you कि Preetham has paid this amount and no other claimant can claim this.
I think yeah, this will get clear more in next slides. I think now let's understand. I think the frequent questions that we get from our clients.
Exactly. So moving to
So
the next.
yeah. So suppose मेरा एक कोचिंग इंस्टीट्यूट है जहाँ पे हर बच्चे का फीस अलग है और ड्यू डेट भी अलग है. So how can I process or how can I configure this use case in your system, and can I automate the due dates reminders?
So Preetham, would you mind taking this?
Yeah, sure. So along with the video, what we will see is you can see that we have something called as manage applicant, where all your student data is stored. In that, you can create and customize different fields and have different dates, right? Let's say you define due date 1, due date 2 for your different installments. Then when you are configuring fee, you go and select the due date to be dynamic. So if you want, you can configure a static date, or you can select due dates dynamically. And on the student data, right, where you can define due date for each of the applicant. And also we have set of auto reminders which are predefined. You just need to click a button and you can set reminders based on start date, due date, or end date. And we also have option to send reminders before 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, right? It's just a click of button. You don't have to do anything. And the system will automatically define like how much is pending for whom, and it will trigger reminders accordingly. Now, this is all fine from the configuration perspective, right? So let's see how the flow looks for our your students, right? So
Preetham, before we show them the student experience,
yeah,
we have a lot of questions flowing in, and I can see Mr. Bilal participating very actively. So, Mr. Bilal, we surely are keeping a track of all your questions that you have posted here. Right? What we'll do is, as we inch towards the end of this podcast, and when we open the Q&A up, then we'll be taking all these questions in order. Whatever has been posted, we'll be answering through all the questions here. So thank you for understanding, and let's move to the next presentation.
Yeah. So here, how the student will student flow will work, right? So student lands onto your landing page. He logins via mobile number and OTP. He will see the student associated with the mobile number. He confirms that. and then sees the fees associated with him, right? And then he can choose to pay any of the fees. And here you see all the breakups that are associated with that fee. If any discount is available, he can apply, or any concession is available for that specific students, he can apply and pay. So in this, you can see that lot of payment options are available, right? Be it a UPI, net banking, or cards. And immediately after payment confirmation, the student can download the receipt and have it or store it. Even if he doesn't store it, and or maybe he loses it, he can always come back again and download it again.
And Preetham, do you also send out any acknowledgement on emails or SMS or WhatsApp once
Yeah.
the is done?
So whenever we receive a payment, we send acknowledgement across email, WhatsApp, and SMS.
Understood. So,
So
thank you for walking us through this use case, which is very prominent in edtechs or maybe coaching centers or similar businesses, right? But as we talk about the education industry, it is very, very vast, and every vertical will have a different set of solutions and problems, right?
yeah.
So we already have spoken about one use case for coaching industry. Now we have certain other questions for you.
So regarding if we talk about the school segment,
Yeah.
so Pritham, how do you address like मेरा एक स्कूल है जहाँ पे क्लास वाइज यूनिफॉर्म फीस है एंड एक पर्टिकुलर ड्यू डेट है. If student didn't pay the fee on that due date, then late fees should automatically imposed on that from that date, that particular due date. And how can I track a real-time payment dashboard in your system?
So what we can do in this case is we have the student data where you add all your students. Then we have workflow where you can define your fees per class basis, right? If you have different classes having different fees, or maybe some classes have same fees, or maybe some other scenario that which you follow, right? You can do all that. For late fees, you can define late fee based on daily or weekly or any custom late fee, right? That you need. Let's say you want to collect late fee after 20 days of due date. You can define those dates, and you can define the amount and start collecting your late fees immediately.
And Preetham, if I want to apply any surcharges to the late fees, how do I do that?
So you can also do that. Let's say you are normally collecting a fee, and on top of that, you want to add, let's say GST or maybe some other surcharges or convenience fee that you want, right? So you can always add those in the workflow, or for collecting it on the late fee, you can enable that option. So all the charges that are applicable for all the surcharges that are applicable for the fee would be also applicable for the late fee also.
Now that we have configured the late fees from the back end, how would it be visible to the candidate? Will they be able to see the total calculated late fees till that date?
Yes. In the student flow, right, the late fee will only be visible when they are eligible for the late fee. So
Okay.
if someone, let's say I am a student and my due date has not passed, I won't be seeing the late fees.
Right.
So if we continue through the video, we can see that if someone is eligible for the late fee, it will pop up on the fee selection page itself, where you are displayed with all the fees that you are supposed to pay. And once you click on pay now, in the checkout page, you will be shown the entire amount of your fees and the late fees that you were supposed to pay. So you don't have to calculate manually. Let's say, understand how it simplifies your work. Let's say someone was supposed to pay on 1st of March and he has not paid that. And I am now coming and paying on March 15th, right? So someone has to calculate manually in the current scenario from 1st of March to 15th of March, how much late fee is being accrued, right? So
Right.
this entire effort is saved. Now someone doesn't have to calculate anything. He just have to go and pay. That's it. The system will do its work.
And Preetham, there would be certain cases where we would want to waive this late fees off.
Yeah,
How do we encounter the, or how do we solve that problem here? Because late fees, once applicable for the candidate, will be shown on the ledger, correct? So how do we
correct.
keep this late fees off?
So you can always go and adjust the late fee for that specific student, right? So in the ledger, there would be option in the profile page of that specific student to adjust that. Also, there are multiple ways to handle this. There could be also a way where you increase the due date, right? Let's say the due date was first. Now I make it 15 because you cannot discount the late fee forever, right? So
Right.
you have to charge it, like you have to encourage them to pay your fees.
Understood. Understood. So for certain students, if I want to do some discounting on late fees, right? I don't want to. I have some people coming from the economically weaker sections of the society, and there is some late fees incurred against their name, and I want to waive it off without disturbing my workflows. How do I do that?
So you can create additional discounts, right,
Okay.
specific for that student. So discount, you can associate that discount with that specific student. And on the checkout page, the student can apply that specific discount, and that discount won't be visible to anyone else.
Perfect.
Or
Perfect.
you can provide the concession to that particular student.
Understood. So that is a solution that definitely is going to work for me as an institute. Again, let's look at some questions. Okay, okay. So we have got this interesting request from Miss Anjali, and she is asking for a demonstration. Ma'am, we surely will have somebody from our team reach out to you. Post this session, you might be getting a call from us, and we also will write to you at this email ID that you have mentioned here.
So Pritham, I think we have received one more query. Is there any transaction limit for Colexo?
No, there is no transaction limit for Colexo. You can collect any of your fees, and whatever fees you like, how much number of transactions you like, we don't have any limit on that.
And I
Okay.
think the question that Mr. Bilal has posted, how we manage the fee structures and the respective concession applied on it. I want to understand how Colexo handles end-to-end processes of pricing and finalize. So, sir, we already have covered this here. Mr. Bilal, if you were to look at this from a product's point of view, we already have covered this, and this was about discounting, concession, and automations that we create, and the final calculated amount that the student will be able to see. So I hope this video or this session would have answered your question on this. Please feel free to post if you have any doubts left. So again, Preetham, there is one more question from Miss Sakshi, which says, do you offer auto debit facility? So
Yeah, so currently we don't have this auto debit facility as of now, but we are working on it, and hopefully we'll have it in upcoming days.
sure. So let me again take this question. So there are certain reasons why we have not built this auto debit, although we experimented with this, right? We did
Yeah.
it for a couple of months, but there are many undercurrents to this or underlying challenges to this. When we talk about auto debit, the first thing that comes is the consent, right? You would have to ask for the consent of the candidates, and there are a lot of people who are working class, right? And their salaries might not come on time, their funds might fluctuate, right? So if you set a bar on somebody's incomes that you are getting your payment on 5th, and out of that amount, X amount will be credited on 5th itself. So that flexibility goes away, right? In order to cater this particular problem of collecting funds on time or allowing the students to pay in installments, we have certain facilities like installment management, right? Which is very big of a feature, I would say. It allows you to track who are the students who are not paid on time or what are the upcoming installments for us. Additionally, we also do debit and credit card based EMIs, which is going to solve the problem for you anyways, right? Because the institute in one shot gets the payment and the student can keep on paying on time.
And also, Lokesh, if you remember when we did the pilot, we get lot of feedback that we don't want to commit on the payment, right?
Exactly.
And and I want my flexibility when I want to pay the fees.
Right.
And you should only worry if I don't pay the fees by the due date, right? Something of that sort.
And it's a mutual relationship between the
Yeah,
parents
yeah.
and the schools or maybe institutes, right? You cannot keep somebody bound to keep paying on that particular date, right? There has to be some flexibility, right? In case of auto debit, what happens is if you don't have funds in your account, then that is a credit loss for the candidates as well, right? Their credit scores get impacted. There is a certain bounce fees that will be charged to the candidate, so that's some added headache for the candidates and parents. So that's why we piloted with it, and now we don't have anything like auto debit in our roadmap, so we have better solutions to that.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Suppose I think I am a university with various campus in different locations. So how can I manage the campus-wise fee collection, and how can I reconcile the transactions?
Yeah, so this one we get often from large universities where, or maybe coaching institutes where they have multiple franchises or multiple campuses where they organize, right? Or they operate from. So in this case, what we have something called as payment summary, where you can get individual institutes or individual campuses overview of payments in one shot. If you continue through the video, Lucas, we can see that there are options of selecting different campuses, right? And for different campuses, you can see the summary of the payments that you have received. And you have also an option for selecting all accounts, where you see a consolidated view of all your franchises or all of your entire university, right? Also, you have something called as payment dashboard to understand the trends, the modes that you are getting payment from, right? And apart from these, we have also something called as settlement report, right? In which you get by date settlement and by transaction settlement. So what is the difference, you ask, right? So normally what happens is you have received a 1,000 payments in a single day.
Mhm.
And those gets credited to your bank on let's say T+1, right? So here I am saying T+1 means T is the transaction date and +1 means on the next day you get your settlements on your bank account.
तो पैसा मतलब अगर
पैसा आपके बैंक अकाउंट में अगले दिन आ जाएगा. आज मेरा 1000 पेमेंट आया हुआ है, कल आपके बैंक अकाउंट में उस 1000 पेमेंट का कंसोलिडेटेड अमाउंट आ जाएगा.
ठीक है,
आपको कैसे पता? आपके तो मल्टीपल पेमेंट्स आ रहे होंगे ना, तो
राइट,
आपको कैसे पता कि कौन सा पेमेंट जो है कि मेरा इस फी का है? तो फॉर दैट वी हैव बाय डेट सेटलमेंट रिपोर्ट वेयर यू कैन मैच द यूटीआर नंबर स्पेसिफिक टू योर बैंक अकाउंट स्टेटमेंट.
ओके ओके.
और फिर आप पूछोगे कि बाय ट्रांजैक्शन फिर क्यों चाहिए, राइट? तो आपको तो 70,000, लेट्स से 70,000 आपका टोटल अमाउंट आ गया है, लेकिन 70,000 किस किस ने पे किया कैसे पता चलेगा आपको? तो इसलिए हमने बाय ट्रांजैक्शन सेटलमेंट रिपोर्ट बनाया है, ताकि आपको हर ट्रांजैक्शन वाइज पता चले कि कौन सा सेटल हो चुका है, कौन सा सेटल नहीं हुआ है.
So will we also be able to see the name, email, phone number of the candidate?
हाँ हाँ हाँ. तो बाय ट्रांजैक्शन में आपको हमेशा पता चल जाएगा कि किस बच्चे ने किस कोर्स के लिए कितना अमाउंट पे किया है, जो कि आपके बैंक अकाउंट में ऑलरेडी आ चुका है.
अच्छा. And we also use an accounting software in सब चीजों के लिए. So can this data be exported to our accounting software?
हाँ, तो आप इसको ऑलवेज आप डाउनलोड कर सकते हो, राइट? और हमारे पास तो डाउनलोड का ऑप्शन है ही, डाउनलोड कर लो और आप इंपोर्ट कर लो.
और अगर मैं एपीआई इंटीग्रेशन की बात करूँ तो कैसे होगा?
एपीआई इंटीग्रेशन के बाद हम हमारे पास एपीआईज है और वेबहुक्स है, तो हम वो डेटा पुश कर सकते हैं आपके रिलेवेंट सॉफ्टवेयर में.
Right, right. So Preetham ji, again, a very interesting question that I have for you. Since see, I run a university, I might be having 100 colleges, right? And the portal that you are showing me allows me to access all the accounts at once, right? But I do not want the college A's owner to see college B. Right? But
Right.
I, as the secretary or the dean of the university, would want to see all the data at once. But on college level, the college heads only should be able to see their data. Can these kinds of permissions be set on your platform?
Yes. So we have something called as role based account access, right? तो आप डिफाइन कर सकते हो कि कौन सा यूजर को क्या रोल है और वो क्या क्या चीज देख सकता है. तो जो रोल आप मतलब जो रोल आप असाइन करोगे उस हिसाब से उस यूजर को सारा डिटेल्स दिखेगा. तो यू कैन रेस्ट्रिक्ट द यूजर टू सी ओनली वन अकाउंट और हैव द एक्सेस ऑफ ऑल द अकाउंट्स.
Understood.
And if you want to restrict, let's say someone should not see my settlement report, then you can restrict that too.
Okay. Okay.
So we also got this type of questions from our clients, whether we need to restrict this access to only this guy. So I think
So any kind of encapsulation is possible on this platform.
Yes, yes.
मेरे को आपको इतना permission दे रहा है, you won't be able to add candidates, you won't be able to delete data. So these kind of restrictions can be put on user-based accesses, right?
Yes, correct.
Understood. Understood. So thank you, Preetham. So this actually gives a lot of insights about what your platform can do and what is the power of one, right? As we move along, next up, we have another case, and that is specific to EdTech. EdTech has been booming in India for a very long time now, and you see the boom of EdTechs. Every day a new EdTech is born. So there are certain use cases in EdTechs. How are you actually catering to the EdTech industry, right? Because if you understand that process, they will be having multiple salespeople, multiple counselors hitting the students up over the calls, and they would be using some CRM systems. How do they collect payments from the candidates?
So why to use any other CRM than a purpose-built CRM that we already have? So we already have our education CRM, which is purpose-built for this purpose only. And we have pre-integrated with Meritto, where in the lead manager itself, you have the option to collect payment. How do you do that? So you have option called as generate payment link. Either on the lead manager or in the lead profile, you get the option to generate payment link. You can either generate a split payment link or a single payment link. So you ask, what is the difference between single payment link and split payment link, right? So let's say I want to collect a single time fee for a specific student for a specific purpose, and I want to send collect payment only once. So I send a single payment link. And if I want to collect multiple payments in installments, right, for that specific student, let's say I have a course fee of 1 lakh, but the student is saying, sorry, I can't pay 1 lakh at a time. Can you break into installments? So you can, by default, on the runtime basis, you can create multiple installments for that specific student and send the payment link. The same details will be populated on the lead profile, where you can see what is the total fee that he has to pay, what is the amount he has paid, what is the payment link, like if you want to send it manually across WhatsApp or something else, or you can by default communicate via available methods from Meritto itself.
Understood. So again, Mr. Manish, if you won't bother taking this on this EdTech part, I have another question. Since we have multiple counselors with us, so it is very important for us to keep a track of what my counselors are doing. What are the total sales that they are bringing in? Right, basis that we calculate their incentives. Right, how does this platform ensure कि मेरे counselors ने जितनी sale करी है, I would be able to see that at a single touch point, at a single interface ki bhai, if the counselor is Lokesh, I want to see how many courses have Lokesh sold and what is the total value. How would I do that? And if the student has paid, will the payment details will they be relayed back on this system?
Yes,
so,
it does.
yeah. Preetham, yeah, please.
Yeah. So whatever the questions you have asked, right? So one is related to how do I attribute the contributions on my revenue, right?
Exactly.
And second is where can I see all the details? So
Right.
on Alexo, you can see attribute single attributions, whatever someone has triggered, right? So you can see a report of who has collected how much based on the payment links that they have sent, based on the user basis. Similarly, for the reports, I think that reporting is already our strong suit. So I believe that part is already taken care, right?
Understood. So here, once the payment is made, the counselors will get to know that the payment has come in, and later on they can navigate through the process.
Yeah.
Understood. So this, I think, is very helpful for edtechs and is going to streamline their operations. They would know what their counselors are doing, and this collected suite that you're talking about, Meritto plus Calexo, it actually becomes a one-stop solution for edtech institutions here.
So we received one question from the Sakshi ma'am, that can we integrate your system with Jodo?
So, ma'am, we recommend any third-party integrations are possible, right? The system is interoperable, and we can integrate with any third party, be it Jodo, be it any other lending company, right? So we surely will be able to integrate that, and we have certain integrations coming up on our roadmap. We already have identified certain partners who do these kind of services. So rest assured that we'll be coming up with new updates, and we also roll out a newsletter, right? So you surely can subscribe to our product newsletter, and we'll have you on our mailing list. So as and when these integrations are rolled out, you will be notified of that. But this is something that should not block you signing up with Calexo, because there is a myriad of features that Calexo brings in, and we are very sure that we'll be able to streamline your processes as you are willing to. And ma'am, for pricing, we can connect over a call. We can have a web call. So for that, you will be getting communication from us, and you can let us know your expectations, the kind of setups that you want. Basis that, pricing will be shared with you. Yeah. So continuing, प्रीतम जी, मैंने शुरू में भी बात करी थी कि ईआरपी से बाहर क्यों लेके जाऊं मैं, right?
Yeah.
तो मेरे को ईआरपी से बाहर लेके ही नहीं जाना है, तो हाउ डू आई सॉल्व दैट?
So I think हमारे पास already pre-developed APIs है, right? So if you walk through the video, I think we are showing the our developer portal where the entire API doc is documented. You can use this API to send your data to add student record or update student record or get the payment status, right? And all this can be done seamlessly without any new development required from our side.
Okay, so that means if I have students on my ERP, that data will be pushed to Calexo via some API integration.
Correct.
Right? I don't want to get into the code and everything. So मेरा data ERP से यहाँ पे आ गया.
ERP से आपका डेटा कलेक्सो पे आ जाएगा.
हाँ.
कलेक्सो से बच्चा पेमेंट कर लेगा. पेमेंट के बाद फिर डेटा कलेक्सो से ERP पे पुश हो जाएगा. तो आपके ERP पे अपडेटेड पेमेंट स्टेटस भी आ जाएगा.
Right. And also similar to ERPs, let's talk about LMSs, right? On LMSs, what happens is online courses or recorded courses are being uploaded for the students. So how do I go about tackling that subscription part? कि अगर किसी ने installment 2 पे नहीं किया तो module 2 should not be available to them. How do I tackle that?
हाँ, तो जैसे मैं बता रहा था, right? So we update the payment on real time basis, right? So basis that you can always set configurations on your LMSs, right? कि अगर you can set triggers on your LMSs that if I don't receive any payment update, then stop the LMS or something, right? Whatever the required action is. So you can always do that.
Understood. So the system actually communicates both ways, and that makes it easy. Understood. Fine. So up to our next process. So this is going to be very interesting for the people who are using Meritto already. The solution is in your backyard, right? So if you could please walk us through this case wherein if somebody is already using Meritto and they are subscribed to application module, now when the enrollment gets done, when the student is interested and they want to enroll, right? And if I want to collect the entire first year fees or maybe seat blocking fees, how do I do that with Calexo and Meritto?
So Calexo is already pre-integrated with Meritto Enrollment Cloud. And also Education CRM. Both we have pre-integrated. What happens is, how the flow works for the student is, since it is pre-integrated, you just have to configure the fees in Calexo. And then by default, the fees will pop up on the student dashboard. While when they are filling the form or when they are doing any action, the student application portal, it will pop up and they can click on pay now in a matter of some seconds, and you can collect your fees. So since it is pre-integrated, you don't have to do anything. You just have to configure your fees, and the fees will start popping up on the student application portal for the relevant students who are eligible to pay any kind of the fees.
And where will the students be able to track all the fee payments that they've done?
They can see in the my payment section of the student application portal.
And will they be
Also
able
on the Calexo portal, so they can choose to see anywhere.
Okay. So again, that answers a lot of questions for institutions who already are using Meritto. The solution lies right behind their backyard. So if some Meritto user is looking to automate, upgrade their fees collection processes, and encash the maximum of the students that are coming in for admissions process, so you definitely should consider switching to Calexo.
So, Pritham, I think we have addressed most of the frequently asked question. So, can you please address the data security of the platform?
Yeah, sure.
So Pritham, again,
Yeah.
since we have spoken about a lot of features, right? You have told us about you can upload data via APIs, or maybe you can do bulk uploads, single uploads. But there's a lot of sensitive information around students, right? Their phone numbers, their email IDs, the date of birth, right? This data can actually be used for some I don't want to call it out, but yes. So how do you make sure that the student data, whatever you have on your system, is secure and it is not leaking anywhere?
So we have something called as encryption and masking. So we do encryption and masking for all the relevant data that are there, right? Be it student data, be it their personal identifiable information, be it their fees. So either it would be encrypted or it would ask for a multi-factor authentication to access those data.
Right.
So we also have role-based access control, as we discussed earlier, right? So you can control who sees what data, right? So let's say you don't want your counselor team to see the finance data. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like, depends on institute to institute. Some counselors don't want to see the accounting data. Some account persons don't want to see the student data, right? So
Right.
you can control this based on role-based access control. We also have periodic security audits and penetration testing done on our platform to identify any vulnerabilities, and we address those actively. So you can be completely sure of your data being secure and your transaction being private.
So now that our data is with you, I want to know, where are you storing this data? You have told me that data is secure and this and that, but where are you storing this data exactly?
So we use enterprise grade cloud services where our data can be stored in any of the regions that are available for cloud storage, right? Be it India, like if someone is operating from abroad, right? They can and they want to store it in their country,
Okay.
right? So if you can also ask us to store that specific data in that specific country also.
Right. So storing data is very secure with Calexo and Meritto, right? So thank you, Preetham, for throwing light on this and then helping our esteemed panelists and the guests that we have here understand that the data is extremely secure with us and their processes. How can we help them streamline all their processes here? So I think we are inching towards the close of this webinar. So before we get into the next slide, wanted to understand from Manish if there are some things that he wants to add here, or some pointers that we might have missed out on, or any particular feature or functionality that he wants to bring to the light.
So I think, Lokesh, we have covered most of the features in our whole previous slides.
Okay.
So
Sure. Thank you for that, Manish. Again, so we already have covered almost everything, right? If you want to know more of Calexo or Meritto in detail, then you can write.
Just to add on, right? This slide actually sums up our entire webinar, where
Yeah,
we have addressed all the touch points that are available, right? So
right.
be it with the enrollment cloud, be with CRM, be it as Calexo as standalone or payment links or integrate with ERPs, right? So all these touch points are available from Calexo to collect your fees.
Yeah, we already have touch based in detail on all these
Yeah,
pointers.
yeah.
We also walked you through the use cases, the industry use cases, how have we solved all these problems, how can you actually implement Calexo via your website or be it any touch point. So these are all the possible touch points which we already have taken care of, right? If you want to if you want to know more of Calexo or Meritto, then you can write to us on sales@calexo.com or sales@meritto.com, right? And we have got your details, we'll write to you, right? And you also can dial up our telephony number which is listed on our website. So moving to the next slide. So if we on these lines, since we spoke about Meritto, I am very sure that there would be some audience who would not know Meritto is, right? So for them to explore what Meritto is, what is the power of Meritto, how can you actually streamline all your enrollments right from the time a lead lands into your system, right? You might be running multiple campaigns. How do you centralize all those leads? How do you nurture all those leads and then later on convert them to enrolled candidates? So for that, you can tune into the next upcoming webinars that we have. So we are coming up with two new webinars. The first one is called What's New at Meritto, because as we told you that we are a vertical specific company. So what we do is we keep on building on consumer feedback, right? So as and when the new requirements keep coming on, our product managers always are sprinting, our operations managers are always building new functionalities. So this is for you who have not explored Meritto yet. So we invite you to be a part of both the webinars upcoming on 11th April and 18th April. It was a pleasure connecting with all of you. You have been a nice audience. Thank you very much for tuning in. And I think we already have covered all the questions. So there are certain people who want to connect with us. I'll make sure that as this session ends, we'll have somebody from our team to hit you up on the phone numbers that you have mentioned or the email IDs that you have mentioned here. You'll get communications from us. Looking forward to connect with you. Thank you very much. That was my time. My name is Lokesh. Thank you, Manish and Preetham, for joining us here. Anything
Thank
to close off?
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining in, and hopefully it would be a fruitful session, I feel.
Yeah. So before we close this, we are open to questions. Any other questions? We'll wait for questions for next 1 minute. And if we don't get any questions, we'll close this off. Thank you for your attention. Thanks.